Fuel deprivation and energy poverty has been a significant problem around Ireland forever, it seems. I have previously spoken about fuel poverty in Donegal, and there have certainly been many studies, reports and papers on the continuing issue of fuel poverty right around Ireland. 5 years ago, Unite the Union published a Cold Christmas report which examined a county-by-county rate of fuel poverty. One of the questions in the SILC was, have you ever had to go without heating during the last 12 months through lack of money? Have you had to go without a fire on a cold day, or go to bed to keep warm, or light the fire late because of a lack of coal or fuel? Over 700,000 people across the Republic answered yes, and 30,700 of those respondents were in Donegal. Donegal was found in this Unite report to have the highest level of fuel deprivation because we also have the lowest levels of household income across the country. In 2019, Social Justice Ireland reported that almost 400,000 people in Ireland experienced fuel deprivation, while Ireland was also ranked among the top 5 in a Eurostat report for energy price increases. Fuel deprivation and energy poverty has been a significant problem around Ireland forever, it seems. Detached houses in rural areas, inappropriate insulation or none, and our cold climate has created an environment where people are cold and unwell due to insufficient heat in their homes. And that was all before COVID-19 hit. This time last year, the world has been turned on its head, with economies, industries and countries closing down while a deadly contagious pandemic spread across the globe. This pandemic has wreaked havoc on employment, and in Ireland, in the midst of this third level 5 lockdown, almost 500,000 people are in receipt of the pandemic unemployment payment. The motion before us today states that a person who loses a job cannot access the fuel allowance until they are in receipt of job seekers payment for more than 390 days, which is over 15 months, and that the fuel allowance is not available to recipients of the PUP. Not only are more people unemployed now than ever, but more people are working from home. Those of us lucky enough to have a home have higher household costs due to work, homeschooling, multiple tenants working from home, etc. This motion is timely and important. The stress, anxiety and uncertainty of the pandemic is not something that we can control, but the government does hold the purse strings and can take certain measures to keep residents across Ireland. It was a long, dark and cold January, and granting the fuel allowance to people in receipt of the PUP is one easy step which should have been taken immediately and would have alleviated it. I would like to commend Senator Lynn Boylan for the Living in Energy Poverty report, which followed an online cost of energy survey at the end of last year. Almost 300 people responded to the survey, and it was very important to hear their real-life experiences and personal stories. Too often, public policy and legislation are discussed in a vacuum, just looking at costs and figures rather than the quality of life of residents around Ireland. That said, it is important to collect, collate and analyse data to ensure that government programmes are meeting their objectives. I have often said that I wish this government weren't just reactionary, but that they were proactive. In that vein, I was reading the Spending Review 2020 Social Impact Assessment. The paper was looking at the Sustainable Energy Authority of Ireland's Better Energy Programme, Warmer Home Scheme and Community Scheme, and found that the level of data collected is also insufficient to provide an assessment of the scheme's impact on residents. That is, did the scheme bring the recipient out of energy poverty? It's hard to believe that we would expend money and not actually look to see if it's having any effect, but maybe not hard to believe when you look at what else this government doesn't ask questions about. Apparently there is a CSO-led project to establish indicators for energy poverty in which the department will be participating. This project is expected to provide an evidence base to improve the targeting of energy efficiency schemes and for future updated social impact assessment. The IGES report also states that the department and the ESRI are undertaking research which includes an examination of the impact of retrofitting and alleviating energy poverty after the event and after it's been done. Unsurprisingly, the SEI doesn't record the bare ratings of homes before works taking place under the Warmer Home Scheme, because this creates such a dearth of information on the extent of fuel deprivation and energy poverty across the country. You'd have to ask yourself why. Why do we have a government funding programmes and not have the impact of programmes properly assessed? Some charities, NGOs and other civil society groups would have their funding stripped if they were not providing the accurate impact analysis and evaluation of the outcome of expenditure. And the IGES report suggests that possible assessment information could be used to assess the scheme's impact in taking recipients out of energy poverty and/or the scheme's impact on the broader cohort or are considered to be at risk of or experiencing energy poverty. I suppose it's better late than never.